Right, today let's paint an autumn forest. To do that, we're going to start with our big background brush, which I'm going to wet and dry off on my cloth so that I don't have too much water on that brush. And let's create this autumn forest. My palette today, I don't need that much black, that's for sure, but I have yellow, red, white, blue, black. All right, let's start. What I want to do is have a nice patch of sun maybe over, or this the sky on maybe the right-hand side, and then the forest goes off into the distance there. So for that, I'm going to paint this section here a pale blue. There's a nice clean brush. Right, the pale blue we get with mixing our white with a touch of blue. Mix the blue in slowly until you have the color you want. I want a really, really pale blue. So I'm going to add lots and lots and lots of white. I don't want it to be a bright day out there. So let's try this and see what it looks like. And I'm going to make it, that's quite nice and light. Look at that. So I'm going to cover an area on our canvas that's around that, probably around that wide. That's where my light of the picture is going to be, the light section. Let's put some more blue in there. In fact, some more white, very light. And now I'm just going to blend it by going over and over and over this. Maybe a little bit more blue towards the bottom. So I'm going to add a touch of blue like that towards the bottom, and then blend that in by going over and over and over and over it until I have a nice blend. All the way across the canvas. Now our forest is going to go off into this direction. So let's add a bit more white to the palette. We're going to use quite a bit of white today. So let's put some more white on the palette and introduce a touch of yellow. So I've still got some blue on that brush. I'm going to start introducing a touch of yellow. Still very pale, very, very pale. And let's fill up some of this area here with that pale yellow. While this blue is still wet, I'm going to add some pale yellow in here. And again, see, I'm using this crisscross motion on the canvas because it does blend quite nicely. With that pale yellow, I'm going to cover the rest of the canvas. Let's put some pale yellow in this section here. Start blending in some pale yellow there. There we go. The sun is shining through the trees in this section, so the rest of this is going to be forest. So might as well cover up the rest of my canvas with a pale yellow. You see, I have some blue still in my brush, which I can either get rid of or incorporate that into the forest at a later stage, because the greens that we're going to use are a mix of blue and yellow. I'm not going to use green today. We're going to make some greens. And here we go. Right. can actually make it a little bit darker now. Add a touch more yellow into this side here. Remember, this is an autumn scene, so let's add some more colour into this section over here. And there's our background. So we have a pale blue going into a pale yellow, into a richer yellow here. Right. Smooth it off if we want, but I'm just using this as background. Right, from here, I'm going to want a path. So why don't we let's put a bit of a horizon line into here, into our picture, by adding a bit of orange now. So the orange, a mixture of red and yellow, more yellow than the red, to give us an orange. It's quite a rich orange. I'm going to go a little bit lighter than that. Probably about that colour orange. My forest is going to be coming probably from about there. Let's give it a bit of a walkway down to about there. And above that is going to be my orange colour. So I'm going to put a bit of orange in this section here and then blend it in. So you can see I'm doing very light movements to blend that in. Like that. Crisscross motion gives me a bit of a blend. And you can see I haven't done a straight line there because that is a little bit of a mound of the trees. And then we go into this side. Let's do some shadow on this side here, in this section of our trees here. Remember, we're still doing background, so that's just a bit of shadow there, and as my brush dries, the colours are getting lighter. There. I'm going to wash that brush off for now. And pick up the angled shader, this one here. It's a 1/2 inch angled shader. What we're going to do is put in the path. The path is a brownish colour. Brown is a mix of red and black. So take a bit of red, put it here, tiniest touch of black in there, and you have a brown. As I said, the tiniest touch of black. So if you've got too much black like I have, add some more red. So I have a brown going there. If I wanted to make it a more honey colour brown, you add a touch of yellow. And there's your honey brown. So you started with red and black, get yourself a nice dark brown, and I wanted a honey brown, so I've got that. That lighter brown, I'm going to make a path with that brown. So let's make a path that comes from about there. See, it's not in the middle of the picture, and it's not in the middle there. It's slightly to the left and down. I'm going to make a path that comes like this in my wood here. And it starts off small, goes into the distance, and it gets bigger as it comes down towards the base of the canvas because it's closer. So perspective wise, my path does that. The movement is side out. And the edges here, as you see, are not solid edges. I've made interesting edges because the leaves are falling. The forest, this is a path that has been made by many people trampling it. It's all over the place. It's what you find in a forest, in these walkways. So it's got interesting edges. That's going to be a mound on this side. We're going to put some trees there. And then there is forest and leaves on this side here. Now, using that same angled shader, I'm going to make a pale green. And the green, I'm keeping my browns there, the green is a mix of blue and yellow. It's a bit too much water on that brush. So I'm going to mix a green here, there. Okay, mix of blue and yellow. Look at that, it makes a beautiful green. It's actually a very nice green. If we wanted to make it more olive, which is more of an autumn color, you add a bit of black. Now you can see with that, because I've added quite a lot of black, I'm going to have to add more yellow now. And when you work your colors in, make them small amounts. You see how small this is? It's not a big amount of paint. So I'm going to mix my color there. That's a nice light color. And now I'm going to add in some white to make it a pale olive. So I have a beautiful pale olive, small amounts of color. And I'm going to take that pale olive and I'm going to mix it into my forest like this, using these little movements again, backwards and forwards movements, mixing it into my forest here. So that's adding some green now, because the forest isn't all autumn color. Add a touch of green in here, just light backwards and forwards movements, just to add a touch of some of the brighter leaves. Remember, we're still working in the background. So while this doesn't look like anything right now, it's still just background. And you can see my movements are getting smaller, so I've got little patches of color rather than big patches of color. I'm going to make this more of a blue-green as it fades into the distance here. Pale blue-green, which means that I'm adding quite a lot of white to my yellow-blue mix. And I'm going to make that a pale blue-green there, in that area there. As it fades off into the distance, my forest. And then my paint is drying on my brush, which means it's going to disappear off into the light blue there, and you won't even notice. Let's put a few of those pale blue green mixes in here, in this side here. Okie dokie. That's the basis of our picture. I'm going to clean the brush off and add some orange now, some quite strong orange. Let's start building this up here. So I want to make this area quite dark here. So I'm going to build up some more orange here, because this is where we head off into the distance, into the forest. So it's quite shadowy in the back of the forest here. There's a touch of brown. Add a touch of brown. Short backwards and forwards movements. Some more orange, richer orange. And now these, because it's in the distance, our leaves start to get blobby. We can't see them very well. So our vegetation starts to get clustered in blobs of color, like that. Background blobs of color. Let's put in some more orange blobs on this side, like that. Still using the angled shader. Backwards and forwards movements. I'm not doing straight lines like that. That's not how I want you to do it, because trees are all over the place, leaves are all over the place. There. Let's put a bit more orange on this side. Mix some more there. I'm leaving some areas that are open. You can see that they're going to be sky areas there. Quick, short backwards and forwards movements to give you the idea of a lot of vegetation. If you go over your paint while it's still wet, you might pick it up again and make it lighter. Wait till that's dry, and then you can build up another layer of color on top of it. This is all background, so we can add another layer of color on top of that later. Right, I'm going to put in some pale yellow vegetation here, which is just the yellow and white mix. And I'm going to want some more yellow and white. The trees are actually all over here, but now they're starting to show the sky through them, so we don't want to cover all the sky here. So from here I'm actually going to be quite judicious in my covering and leave some gaps. So this is pale yellow. Start with some pale yellow, and they do go round, so I'm going to leave some gaps that you can see this beautiful light sky through. Some blobs of the pale yellow. That's going to be a tree. Can add some blobs of green in that one, pale green. That tree's still got a few green leaves on it. I know you can't see it yet, but it will be. Maybe a bit more brown in this area here. Darken it with another layer of color there. Now we've got all of the concentration of the color across the top. We'll come back and do the bottom bit here just now. Let's make some more orangey red. Nice bright orangey red leaves here that I'm mixing up with the yellow leaves. Yeah, let's put some more orangey red leaves in this section here. I think I'm going to leave more of the orangey red leaves though for the ones that have fallen. So that'll be down in this vegetation down here. Some of these here. A few blobs of those orange, nice orange red color here. And you see still backwards and forwards movements to give me that different movement with the leaves and the vegetation. Okay, now what I've got is I've got a few trees growing up here, and I've got a few trees growing up here. So let's add some distinction. You don't have to do a lot. Just change some of the colors in these two little mounds here, which I'm going to do with a mix of the browny green. You can see it's a very slight change in color here. Let's leave some light areas here as well. Make a few browny green colors there, brown colors, like that. So it just breaks up this area a little bit. Give us a little bit of interest in this area here. Bit more brown there, but still leaving this area here showing that this fades off into the distance. The forest fades off into the distance there. All right, let's do this here as well. Change the color slightly here. And again, wash that brush off. Get a mix of the blue-green coming into this area here. Like that. A little bit more bluey green. Maybe a bit more here. Let's put this, see this blue-green, once you add this in this area here, it starts to look a little bit like shadow. So don't want to overdo it. Just a touch of that blue-green in this area here. So it starts to look a bit more like shadow. And now I'm doing sweeping movements instead of the short backwards forwards, sweeping movements, because this is going to be shadow over our walkway, over our pathway. So we're starting to get in some distinction in our leaves and our forest walkway down this way. Okie dokie. Let's put in some trees now. Might want to make this a little darker because this is all very monochrome. So to make that darker, a bit more brown here. More brown in this area here. Now remember, the trees get lighter as they go up. They're darker at the base because there's where the shadow is. And a bit more blue. So as soon as I add that blue-green mix here, we've got shadow on top of the brown. And the blue-green is yellow and blue mixed with a touch of black to make it olive. That now looks like shadow in that area. A mix of shadows, mix of colors. And the reason I'm concentrating on this now is because once I've put the trees on, the background then will fade into the background and I won't be able to touch it again because now it's behind the trees. Yeah, you can. I'll show you how. Because you can paint around the tree trunks. But there, for now, that's enough for me, I think. Gives me an idea that there's different levels of trees as well. See how that lighter color there looks like it's very faded in the background, much paler blue, and then you put some sharper greens on top of that and they look like the trees are the leaves are going to be coming in the front. There's a bit of a shadow there. There's a shadow on this side. A few little splodges of green here will bring them to the foreground. Okay. I'm going to swap that brush now, put that in the water, and I'm going to get my small brush. This small brush now is going to give me my beech trees. And to do that, I'm going to make a mix of a pale grey, which is white, and a touch of black. And you'll know you've put too much black in if it doesn't go pale. So there's white with a touch of black to make a pale grey. And that now we're going to use to put in this tree here. I want a tree, a nice big tree coming from about here. And this tree is going to go straight up to there. So let's take a line of tree coming all the way down like that with that paler grey. That's one side of the tree. Let's do the other side of the tree, which goes a bit wider towards the bottom, like that. I'm going to fill in my tree with the pale grey, like so. And that tree goes right up and off the top of the canvas. Remember, these trees are thin and tall. So that tree is going to be there. Let's put another one just behind it. Say, what about there? Not at the same level. So this one comes down in the front to about there. And I haven't got a straight line there either, because I'm going to build in some shadow. Let's put another one here. And this tree also goes up off the top of the canvas, but it's thinner now. So it's one line with this brush. Bit of water there so that you don't get the... There we go. A little bit of water added on your brush means that you don't get the dry brush effect. And that one's going to come straight down. You can see my tree's not straight, which is absolutely fine. That's what happens. That's what a tree looks like, not 100% straight. So there's my line of my tree there. Let's put another tree, bigger one, just there. This one always also goes up straight. Line of that tree goes to there. I'm going to make that one a little bit fatter than that one there. So it's a bit older. And thicker and fatter. I want to give myself another tree, possibly in front of that. Those ones are distance apart, very equal, so let's put one that's not so equal in distance around here. And this one is almost in front of that one. So let's make that one there. There's a tree, comes down there. Okay. If it's fat across the top there, remember that it's got to remain actually the same width all the way down, or gets fatter towards the bottom. Otherwise this tree doesn't look real. Proportions are very important when you're doing trees. They do need to be thicker at the base. Okay, that's my trees on that side. I'm going to put a nice big tree there, right here. And this tree then goes up through the middle like that. And off the top. And remember keeping your proportions, so as long as you have a thicker base, and make that go straight up like that, straightish. None of these trees need to be straight. Like that. These are the sizes of the trees. Let's put another one behind it there. And that one can go up like that. And if you don't have enough water on, you will get dry brush, so just make sure that you do have water on your brush. Okay, there's my other tree. I think it's a forest. We're going to have far more trees than this. So let's put another one, thinner one, maybe there. And that one goes all the way up, like that. And maybe we'll put another one right here. And you can see what's happening here. As soon as I put the tree on, the background then fades into the background, and you're not going to be able to touch it again because you have your tree on the top now. You touch that background tree, the background, and it won't look right because your tree's taking space on the top. There we go. That one's a little bit darker, doesn't matter. I'm going to put white on them as well. Let's put another small one behind here too. And that one goes up to there. And fill that one in a little bit more. Okay, now with a slightly darker grey, I'm going to put a few trees, because now these are the foreground trees. So I'm going to put a few trees going off into the background here, like that. They do go all the way up. You can make them go like so. And let's do another one right next to him. I think I'm going to do another one a little bit further back, but this one now, instead of just grey, I'm going to add a bit of blue-green mix to it, because now this one now is into the forest. I'm going to put that one going up there. So I've put a bit of the blue-green mix into my grey now. And that's made it a little bit more of a shadowy tree. In the forest. Let's put a few more in the background here. And these are the blue-green mix. Maybe a few more behind that one. Maybe one there. Blue-green with a touch of black. Another one just behind it. And you can see now these trees are now fading off into the distance. Let's put one over there. These trees are in the background now. And we've suddenly got a forest. We can put in some more after we've added in our colours to our tree, our light and dark. Can add some more of these. This one now starts from behind the mound of vegetation here because it's right into the forest now. There, those ones go there. Right, that's our forest on that side there. We've got lots of trees heading off into the forest. Let's go and add in some colour now. So now that you know where your trees are and they're pale grey, let's go add some black in. I'm going to make, because these are beech trees, let's make them black across the bottom here. So I've taken black across the bottom, and they do have odd. I'm going up the left hand side of this tree with the black, so we have an outline of where our tree is going to go and strong outline of the tree. And what I'm going to do is put in a few black edges like that. We want to make it black on the right hand side, but not too black, like that. So a few blobs of black in that side there. Do the same for this tree here. It's in the background, so what I've done is I've taken a dark grey rather than black, and I'm putting dark grey in patches on this tree. Put some of that dark grey in here if you want. So literally the grey that we've put the trees in the beginning, the pale grey, is background grey. I need a base for these trees, so I am going to make them black at the bottom, or dark grey at the bottom there, like that. Okay, let's do this one here. This one's a bit darker. And you can see that as I do the tree, what I'm doing is I'm making interesting shapes with the black. But I'm going to interesting shapes covering the tree from left to right with the black, but not everywhere. So there's a few light grey patches too, still. Let's do it for all these trees now. Fill in with some black on the left hand side. like that. Still not quite finishing the bottom of the tree, so it's not a straight line across the bottom. Let's do this one here. Remember, these are getting towards the back now, so it doesn't need a lot. Let's put a bit of black in this tree here. Like that. These ones here definitely have a lot of black in them. This one I've done quite dark, so I'm going to have to put a lot of, I'm going to have to replace some of the lighter grey in this tree here. Make it a bit thicker all the way up, like that. They don't all have to be the same size, these trees, as you can see. So let's do that there. And put some shadow into that tree there. A little bit behind on that one there. Definitely darker at the bottom. So now we've got some depth with some of the trees coming darker and some of them looking lighter in the background. These ones, we can add a touch of dark to them, but really don't do too much because these have definitely faded into the background like that. Let's put in some branches now. So using this thin brush, I'm going to put some branches in. Let's take some branches coming off that side there, just take it off up this way, and the branch goes like that on this tree. Put some thinner branches going in as well. Let's do some on this side. Thinner at the top, thicker at the bottom. I want to do the same for this tree, so I'm going to put in some thin branches coming off that tree there. Remember, it goes behind this tree, so let's make it go behind like that. Let's do one or two over here. This tree here, we need to do some branches off this tree here, but these branches don't start too low, they actually are quite far up. This is in front of this one behind, so let's make it go like so. Put some branches there like that. I really don't want too many branches. These trees need to be light and airy, so I'm not going to do too many. Let's do a few off here. Remember, it just disappears off into nothing. So if you want your branches to disappear off into nothing, and I've got these wobbly branches that then as you go further and further away, you lift your paintbrush off the canvas. Put another one on that side. Let's do one here. Remember, these trees are in front of the ones behind, so that's why the branches will go in front of those trees behind. So you do your foreground trees first. You do the branches on the foreground trees first. Let's take that one off there. And how many more should we do? Another one going there. Let's put some more there. These are in the background though, so they'll go behind these trees here. Don't need to do too many. Now remember, these ones are fading off into the background, so what you want to do with those ones is not black limbs like we've done for these, the black branches coming off here. It's going to be the pale blue or the blue-green mix, like so. We need something on this side here, so let me just take a thin brush and let's put some thinner trees that aren't like these trees, just thinner branches like that, coming off here, going into the bush over there. Let's make some, this is a tree in the background as I said, so let's put some branches going into that tree there, trunks, like that. Thin branches there that fade off into the forest on that side there. It's going to fade off into the forest this side too. These ones at the back here, they're a pale blue-green. Not black. Blue-green, a bit of white. And let's put some branches on here, on these ones at the back. And they're behind. They do that. Pale blue-green. Both directions. Don't think that these trees have branches going in one direction only. So it goes off in both directions. You can see now where you've put the background colour starts to look like there's leaves and vegetation in these trees, but they're way in the distance. You can't see the individual leaves, they will fade. There. Okay, these trees need white now. So wash the brush off and pick up some white. Let's put some white into these trees. When this dries off, so I'm putting blobs of white. When this dries off, that will be a nice strong white blob. And they're odd blobs because that's how these trees look with their white and the black trunks. And let's put some onto this tree here, some odd white blobs. I'm picking up some of the black underneath, which I don't want, so I'm going to go in afterwards and put more white on top once this is dried. Putting some more white blobs here. And definitely need some in this tree. I've definitely done too much black in this tree here. And you see I'm concentrating on the right hand side so that it looks like the left hand side of the tree is in shadow. Let's do some on this tree. So for all the trees that we've got here, I'm putting in some white blobs, basically. And because it's still wet, I've got grey coming in too, which is good. It's a good mix of colour. definitely not all the way down the tree. So let's do some on these trees here. I will revisit those when that's dry and see what's gone white and what is still needing a little bit of attention. Okie dokie. Right, now we need these trees to be in shadow. So we're going to go back to that brown that we created here, and we're going to pick up that brown and we're going to put some shadows. The light is shining this way, so why don't we put some shadows coming from the base of the tree and make the shadow with that brown color. Do that. Remember, there's leaves crossing this shadow, so it's not 100%, but it will definitely be darker towards the base of the tree. Lots of shadow at the base of the tree. So I'm going to put one shadow there. Let's put another one here. And I'm following the line of the tree, giving myself some shadow. Let's put some shadow here. That sun is shining from there in this way, which means that if it hits the tree that side, while it's hitting the tree this side, it's coming directly from the tree down this way. It's coming through there. But on this side, what's happening is it's hitting the tree and taking the shadow off to the left. From your perspective, you're seeing it going off that way. Let's do one here. And that will mix with this one here. Same here. And these ones go off that way there. Now we made this brown because the shadow isn't black on these trees. I'm going to start making these ones in the background here, instead of brown, I'm going to start making them a blue-green color, because that's actually a really interesting shadow color. Darker at the base of the tree. And like so. This needs to be darker at the base, so I'm going to put a little bit of black in our brown there. Not too much. A little bit of black. Right, I'm going to make a blue-green, that olive color green again, and that I'm going to use to make these shadows here. From this tree here. Got some shadows there too. And let's not forget about these ones. These ones have shadow too, but this now is heading off towards the right. The shadow of these trees here. So take it from the base of the tree, and we're going to the right here to give us some shadow there. And remember, there is also shadow from the leaves here. Now, before we finish off this picture, I'm going to wait for all of those blobs to finish drying so I can see if I need to change anything, like put a bit more grey in here or a bit more black, just to break up the blob of white and give it more character, more of a reasonable tree character, beech tree. Like that. I will wait for that to dry so I can do the character. You can go back in and you can touch this painting up quite a lot after we've finished today, and just add in some more detail, because this is very light detail, so you can add in some more detail. Now this is where we can touch up the orange tree color, the orange leaves. They can now go slightly over the branches here. So you can add in some more leaves which are over the branches. Like that. Definitely in this section here, add in some more. Beautiful orange leaves. Remember, we're doing them backwards and forwards. I'm going to put in a bit more shadow here. That's our shadow of our trees, the leaves on the bottom here. And let's put some more shadow in this section here. So we've got a nice light coming in there. Make that darker. I'm going to make our pathway a little darker in patches as well. Like so. Like that. And I think I'm just about done there. Another thing that you can do, if you wanted to lift up some of the light, say you've covered up a little bit of the light behind the trees, what you can do is create some white lights coming through the middle of the tree by adding more white back in into areas around the tree, like that. Wait till that dries, you'll see what that looks like. It looks very nice. It looks some of the lights coming back in. Put some on this side here. Some of the lights coming back through. And that's about it. This is a bit blobby, so I'm going to add in a little bit more detail here. As it's drying, it's going blobby, so let's just add some more of the black interesting things back into the tree there. This one too. Interesting black bits in the tree. Like that. As I said, you can go and play with this for hours, putting in more and more and more detail. But for me, I think that's just about done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign that off now. Finish that bit there. Change some of that. Right, I'm going to sign that off there with a bit of brown, which is red, yellow and black. A little bit of brown. And I'm going to make my mark on this side today. Right, that's it for today. So go and enjoy, everybody. And there's your birch trees and a walk in the afternoon. Till next time.